Hello and welcome to another stocks update. Today we want to talk about Adobe. Adobe is a stock which could be close to a long-term top in my primary scenario. I see Adobe get very close to a long-term top, which in the primary scenario I see as a B wave rally, which started down here in September, October 2022, after a third wave topped in 2021 in November. So long-term third wave top here, end of 2021. Long move down in an A wave, basically a first wave of a correction, of this wave 4 correction, which in my reading, in my primary scenario is not yet finished. So the idea is that currently the rally to the upside is a 3-wave move. It really counts best, currently at least, as a 3-wave move. I mean, can I rule out that it's going to become a 5-wave move? No, but we talk about that as an alternative in a minute. It looks to me as if it's approaching a long-term top, and it's worth watching some key levels as we climb higher. Going to take a look at the 1-hour chart in a minute, but let's first stay on the 4-hour chart for a moment. I want to share with you here the structure of the increase since the September 2022 lows. And so far, as you can see, we have a 3-wave move in wave A, then we had a B wave pullback, and this is now a C wave, which is approaching nearly the 200% Fibonacci extension, which is quite a strong move, but we've seen a lot of tech stocks moving quite strongly. There is also some confluence with other target levels. I mean, there are always other levels or ways of measuring targets. In this case, we've got the area between $654 and $712 that should be watched, with a little bit of confluence there around $670, $680. But in the C wave, which is a 5-wave move, we are getting close to a top. Wave 1, wave 2, wave 3, wave 4, and this looks like a textbook ending diagonal in wave 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, and it's likely moving in wave 5 of 5. Of the C wave. In addition to that, typically when we look at indicators, we start to see bearish divergences in a wave 5, and we definitely see that, okay? Typically the third of a third wave, which was here, the top in June last year, you typically get the strongest reading on the indicators, and then as we grow, as we go higher towards the end of the third, and then into the 5th wave, we start to see those bearish divergences. That is exactly what we see, where the price is actually making higher highs, but on the relative strength index, we see lower highs. That's just one example. So I'm definitely, even though I'm not going to call a top in place yet, I am very cautious here. I think we could get very close to top. It might get a few more squiggles higher. I mean, we haven't even reached that ideal target area there, but we're not talking about much necessarily, so we are there or thereabout. The idea is then that at some point a deeper pullback should occur in what I would consider a C wave. To confirm that, however, I need to see a first 5-wave move to the downside. If the pullback is corrective, we could see further extensions to the upside, which would be the alternative scenario. But as soon as we see support levels break, and the first one is at 563, and in addition to that, we see a first 5-wave move down, then this would be a strong confirmation that the C wave has started, and it might take us into the region, maybe even a little lower, of the 2022 lows. So we talk about around about 270, 280. That is very much in line with other tech stocks as well. So there's good confluence there. It's also very much in line now with the Nasdaq actually, which also shows the potential for a long-term top. Again, not yet. Maybe a few more squiggles to the upside, but most of that move is done. Let's say the highest probability element of this move to the upside is likely done. Okay, now let's talk about an alternative. In the alternative scenario, the wave 4 actually bottomed here. That was in September 22. We're now moving up in a 5th wave, and that would be a 5-wave move. And then we would say, okay, wave 1, wave 2, then all of this here is currently a 3rd wave. Then after that top, there should still be a substantial decline, but it would be corrective. ABC, instead of a 5-wave move, we would see a 3-wave pullback, but even that could take us into the, let's say, low $500 region. roughly, and then we could still see another extension. Okay, so that would be quite a nice move up then. That doesn't change though that we're likely close to a top, even if it's just a third wave. And to be honest, it doesn't count that well as a 5-wave move to the upside, because it would have to be likely an ending diagonal in wave 5, but then the subwaves are impulsive, so it looks more like an ABC structure. So that's how we get our clues here. So it's literally all about understanding that, okay, we're likely very close to a long-term top. Yes, the pullback could be corrective. If it is, it leaves the door open for higher. But once we see the right structure in the decline, and then a corrective rally, which would be the wave 2 here, that can send us down quite substantially, especially here in the third wave. Again, ideally, we get a signal that this is a clear wave 1. Then we see a corrective rally that can take us actually quite close to where we are today. And then that would be a short signal for a third wave down. And that's typically the trade that most people want to be in. I think for most people it's already enough to understand that the risk has definitely increased here. Now looking at the 1-hour chart, I think it might get a few more squiggles higher. Obviously micro counts are unreliable, but here we see that it might be working on this ending diagonal. And yeah, one more high seems a reasonable expectation in this wave 5 of 5. It's just about trying to make one more high, to form one more high. This is for me a little bit too weak for a reliable wave 5 in this ending diagonal. That's my update about Adobe. Hope you liked the update. If you did, please hit the like button, leave a comment and subscribe. And if you're interested in daily updates about the S&P 500 as well as regular updates about stocks, then check out our stocks and S&P 500 service. You'll find the link in the video description. Thanks a lot for watching. Bye-bye.